Assalamu alaikum. Brother and sister, welcome back to Islamic Notes channel. Sarah Joseph, Jihad through mass media. Sarah Joseph, 36, is a native British convert who converted to Islam at the age of 16. After embracing Islam, this productive journalist diligently gave lectures about Islam in England and abroad. Now, amidst the negative image of Islam in the Western world, he is struggling to build a positive image of Islam through the media. One of them is by publishing EML Magazine, a typical magazine that examines the Islamic lifestyle. EML can be called the only Islamic color magazine published in Great Britain. In an interview with the Guardian newspaper published in London, Sarah, who used to be a Catholic, predicted that Islam would play a big role in the future in solving various world problems. She also talked a lot about how a Muslim living in a Western country should behave. The following is the statement of the mother of three who received the OBE Awards in 2004 for her activities in building interfaith dialogue, adapted from several of her interviews with the British media. I lived for 16 years without Islam, being a human being, being a woman, a mother, and an editor in London. All of these things have shaped me into a flexible person. But my role as a mother was formed when I became a Muslim, said Sarah Joseph. She said that a Muslim has his own individual rights. There are certain requirements. Just as other individuals also have the same thing, regardless of whether he is Muslim or not. But by becoming a Muslim, a person will be formed into a person who respects the individual rights of others. I am British, and I think like most Westerners. When I visit a Muslim country, I understand aspects of the Muslims. But I don't want to interfere with the local customs, she added. Sarah said being a member of two different communities, British and Muslim, is difficult, but she has a responsibility to explain what Islam really is. I have a very powerful feeling when I talk to them, talking heart to heart with each other. I give my life just to be a bridge between these two communities, she said, publishing Islamic magazines. So, I think British Muslims, and in the West in general, have to find an answer to what is happening today. We have to be a bridge between the two worlds. Those of us who were born here and grew up in British society have a responsibility to explain Islam to the West. I see Islam as having the capacity to give the best. The condition is that they, the West Ed, must start by seeing Islam as part of the solution and not part of the problem that must be avoided, he said. The London woman took another path in translating Islam for the West. She launched an Islamic lifestyle magazine, and one of her targets was non-Muslim readers. The magazine initially was funded from her own savings. Now it is starting to be known by the public and is side by side with other famous magazines and bookstores. EML, the name of the magazine, derived from two letters M and L as an abbreviation of Muslim life. The columns feature Islamic lifestyles concerning fashion, interior design, finance, entrepreneurship, health, food, and travel stories. Then there is also a gardening column and features about the discoveries of Muslim scientists in the past. All of them are packaged in a popular way by showing the side of Islam that has been forgotten amidst the flow of Islamophobia and terrorism issues. EML was first published in 2003 and was only available in bookstores that specifically sell Islamic books. However, in its development, it turned out that non-Muslims also liked the magazine. So since September 2005, its distribution has been expanded to the public. Wikipedia notes that EML now has a circulation in 30 countries. Today, news about Islam is synonymous with murder, persecution, and the like. We want to show something different. Normal things that apply in Islam, which are not widely discussed. We aim this magazine primarily at young people, said Sarah enthusiastically. Sarah tries to present the real Islam by highlighting the contributions they have made, especially to build public opinion in England. With an attractive layout, Islamic messages can be widely understood without religious dogmas or political seasoning. In this magazine, a Muslim is depicted, for example, wearing clothes like this, then eating food like that. We offer a window into the Islamic community, far from just cliched expressions, he added. Start with small capital. A BBC reporter thought we had 5 millimeters in capital. I laughed. We started with 20K, Sarah explains. Someone asked, with the increasing fear of Islam, Is this the time for non-Muslim readers? We have to say, let's lower our heads. If each of us continues to create our own camps, then the hostility will never go away, he said. Sarah, who once received an invitation from Tony Blair, former British PM, wanted to show something different, that Islam is not just about prayer or politics, but Islam also regulates lifestyle. In the past, many people did not know the concept of a Muslim's life, but now it is slowly starting to become clear after this magazine was launched. EML has succeeded in capturing a market that has not been utilized by other media and destroying the bad image of some groups who hate Islam. Its circulation is now more than 20,000 copies and has 3,000 regular subscribers. Sarah actively helps develop ideas by mixing Islam today and the past and inviting Muslim readers to contribute. The magazine, which is headquartered in Whitechapel, East London, has 6 staff and several volunteers. The image of Islam in the West. Sarah is a little worried to see some media outlets that in reporting extremist issues add too much content to the news. If Islamic life is isolated, frightened, told that no one wants to be friends with them, then this is not healthy for our society, she said. You can't label them as Islamic fundamentalists. Just say that they have deviated from the teachings of their religion. I strongly disagree with some groups who say that the Quran actively encourages terror attacks. If they say that, then they are the same as Al-Qaeda. They are singing the same song, Sarah emphasized again. In her view, Al-Qaeda and its ilk use Islam and the Quran to legitimize violence cleverly. Behavior of Muslims. To be honest, the behavior of some Muslims is sometimes very unhelpful in changing the image of Islam in the West. We need to be more aware of this. People monitor our behavior and make certain judgments. There was a survey in 2002. It was said that 70% of British people do not know anything or even do not care at all what Islam is. They understand Islam only based on information from the media. Unfortunately, the media does not show Islam proportionally. So this is really our job, and once again, it is up to us to change that opinion. Of course, with Islamic attitudes and behavior. Muslims must be proactive in showing the positive things in Islam. There are many ways to show that, he asked. In a live chat on the Islam Online website, Sarah was asked whether the West is a suitable place for a Muslim to practice his faith amidst the secular campaign. In her view, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this world. So for Muslims, living anywhere is possible and possible. The West has the issue of secularism, it is true. It can attack our religion and morality, true. But should we let the ship go to the island of peace and tranquility without us in it? The prophets never gave up even though they were reviled and insulted. We must not give up. We should show that Islam is relevant to this world. Therefore, we need to continue to improve the quality of preaching so that Islam is easy to understand, he said, converted to Islam at a young age. Before knowing Islam, Sarah was a Roman Catholic. She was a teenager who was active in various religious, social, and political activities. Religion at that time really came from her heart and influenced social activities in society. Her family was liberal. They didn't care about religion. Sarah's mother often said that her child was very religious, even though she was still very young. At the age of 13, Sarah's older brother converted to Islam. At that time, it was for marriage reasons. Of course, I really hated his decision. At that time, I accused him of selling his faith just because he was a woman. I was still afraid at that time, because Islam was very foreign, and I read a lot of negative sides about Islam, said Sarah. The negative prejudice about Islam is hard to get rid of, but I know the feeling of fear is because I do not know the real Islam. Finally, I decided to find out more information about Islam. I really wanted to know. Not long after that, I left Catholicism, not because I was interested in Islam, but more because I was disappointed with the Pope's rules. I could not accept the centralistic rules centered in Rome, he continued. Finally, I decided to leave Christianity, but not yet chosen Islam. At that time, I was blank. I'm still trying to find God. In that search, Islam was the first to flow into my heart. Islam answered all my questions, especially about the Trinity. One more thing, the Quran has not changed at all, unlike the Bible. Slowly, I found answers about Islam that had been hidden for so long, admitted Sarah. Sarah converted to Islam at a very young age, namely at the age of 16 years, impressed by prayer. Honestly, another thing that made me accept Islam was when I saw people praying, when they knelt down in prostration with full humility. I think this is what is called obedience or submission as a servant, Sarah recalled. It was hard for Sarah at first. It took some time to realize Islam in herself and her life, especially bringing it into her family and social environment. But over time, my family saw that I could still contribute to society even as a Muslim. That made them happy, and they were able to accept me back, she said. At first, her parents did reject their daughter's plan to convert to Islam. They even said condolences when Sarah started wearing the hijab. But in Sarah's view, wearing the hijab was a choice. My family adheres to liberal beliefs. Likewise, when they heard that I had converted to Islam, they were very against it. They thought I would be someone else. Moreover, I wore the hijab right at the beginning of my conversion to Islam. They were even more against it. If only I didn't wear it, then everything would be easy. But I really wanted to wear the hijab. I really wanted to be a Muslim. It took a few years for my family to understand this, but now they are very happy. They are happy with the way of life that I have chosen, and it turns out to be good. However, unfortunately, they have not shown any signs of embracing Islam, said Sarah. Married to a Bangladeshi man, in 1992, Sarah married Mahmoud, a British man of Bangladeshi descent. Mahmoud worked as a lawyer. Mahmoud's parents came to England around 1960. Sarah's family began to accept him because of Mahmoud's moderate appearance. Now the couple has been blessed with 3 children, Hassan, 11, Sumaya, 8, and Amira, 5. My identity as a Muslim is very clear. Having this identity is not against the general rules, and I can live pluralistically in a tolerant society, he said firmly. If we say that Islam is only about prayer and politics, then we have made it dry, only filled with theological rules. But if we can show, for example, to young people, Muslims, that Islamic culture has also helped build Europe, then we have told them that they are the future trustees. Young Muslims need to know about that. Life is a test, an arena to purify the soul, and a means to receive God's love. Islam, for me, is the easiest way to connect with God. I think we should focus on the purpose of life rather than just carrying out religious commands or teachings, she said. See Islam as part of the solution, not part of the problem that must be avoided, Sarah added. Sarah Joseph, once anti-Islam, now an influential figure. For the owner of the full name Sarah Joseph, Islam was so foreign. At that time, there was nothing beautiful at all about Islam in Sarah's eyes. She only had a negative view of the religion that was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu. What crossed the mind of the woman born in 1971 was that Islam was a religion of terrorism. The image of Muslims that she captured was that they could easily divorce their wives just by saying the word divorce 3 times. Sarah, who is now active as a lecturer and owner of EML Magazine, was once very upset when she found out that her brother had married a Muslim girl. Her brother had converted to Islam earlier. Sarah was so angry because of her sister's conversion. For Sarah, her sister had sold her religion just for a marriage. Understandably, her rejection came from the fact that Sarah had been known as a religious figure since she was little. She was a Roman Catholic following her father and mother. Sarah grew up as a very serious teenager and was very sensitive to social, political, and religious issues. For that reason, she could not hide her anger when she learned of her brother's conversion. However, no one could have guessed the power of guidance given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His hatred for Islam was what led him to know more closely the heavenly message. She tried asking her family and close friends. However, no one knew and was able to give an answer that satisfied Sarah. Sarah wondered why no one knew about Islam. Finally, she started reading books related to Islam to answer her doubts. In the process of learning about Islam, Sarah decided to leave the religion she had been born into. However, she did not completely leave Catholicism. Leaving the religion that was the foundation of his extended family was not an easy choice at that time. Because of that, he decided not to immediately embrace Islam and also not practice the teachings of his religion anymore. For some time, Sarah lived without religion. She just tried to surrender everything to God. However, the process of learning about Islam continued. In her search process, Sarah found a concept of divinity that was different from her previous religion. She admired the concept of monotheism in Islam and the existence of the holy book of the Quran, which has never changed its content since it was first revealed to earth. The final thing that made Sarah accept Islam was when she saw a Muslim visiting the mosque. She witnessed the submission of Muslims when prostrating themselves to God. Sarah was fully aware that this kind of surrender was what she had been expecting from religion all this time. She finally decided to embrace Islam in 1988, or when she was 16 years old. Sarah's parents had a hard time accepting their daughter's decision to change religion. Sarah's parents did indeed give their daughter the freedom to be anything. However, Sarah's decision to embrace Islam was seen as a step backward. This is because they consider Islam to be a religion full of violence and places women as an oppressed group. Sarah's parents' rejection was even more intense because their daughter immediately wore a hijab shortly after embracing Islam. "If I didn't wear the hijab right away, it would have been easier for my parents," she said. It took Sarah years to convince her parents that she was following the right religion. Now her parents are very happy. Sarah's parents are proud of the way she lives her life, although they show no signs of following Sarah's footsteps in declaring the Shahada. Little Sarah lived a life of abundance. Her father worked as an accountant, while her mother was a modeling agent. This made Sarah very accustomed to the hustle and bustle of the modeling world. After converting to Islam, Sarah launched a Muslim lifestyle magazine called EML Magazine. The magazine's segmentation targets young people from various circles, including non-Muslims. She funded the magazine from her own pocket money. Now, EML Magazine has become a popular magazine alongside other famous magazines in bookstores. The name of EML Magazine comes from two letters M and L as an abbreviation of Muslim life. The columns are themed on Islamic lifestyle, including interior design, finance, entrepreneurship, health, food, and travel stories. Then there is also news about plantations and features of Muslim scientists' discoveries in the past. All of them are packaged popularly by showing the side of Islam that has been forgotten amidst the onslaught of Islamophobia and terrorism issues. Through EML, Sarah tries to present the true Islam proportionally. Thus, EML has contributed to building Western public opinion. With an attractive touch of design and layout, the message of Islam will be displayed in each article so that it can be widely understood without religious dogma or political seasoning. So I think British Muslims and the West in general have to find an answer to what is happening today. It has to be a bridge between the two worlds. People who are born and raised in British society have a responsibility to explain Islam to the West, said Sarah, who is married to Mahmoud al-Rashid, a British man of Bangladeshi origin. For her dedication to building dialogue between Islam and Western civilization and promoting women's rights through her media, Sarah was awarded the OBE in 2004. In 2010, she was listed as one of the 500 most influential Muslims in the world by Georgetown University, the Prince Al-Walid bin Talal Center for Muslim Christian Understanding, and the Royal Islamic Strategic Studies Center of Jordan. In 2006, she was named one of the 100 most powerful Muslims in Britain in Carter Anderson's Power Muslim 100.